I'm going to use eyelets to attach charms or buttons, the ones that have a shank. It's the part that sticks out on the back. And the reason for doing that is so that the button doesn't sit on top or the charm like it is right now. So the first thing I need to do is figure out where I want it to be on my piece. And once I figure that out, I'm just going to mark where that shank was. And I'm just going to kind of make a big round dot. The next thing to do is I'm going to use a strand of thread, and I happen to be using floss. And I'm going to start by taking a few running stitches just around the, not all the way around, but around the edge of that circle. And that's just going to be to hold my waist knot in place, and I'll trim it off in a minute. And then I'm just going to back stitch with teeny tiny back stitches all the way around that circle. If you wanted to, you could do the split back stitch too, but we're just stabilizing it right now. Once I've taken a back stitch or two, then I can go ahead and trim off that waist knot. Just going to trim it off so that I don't have the bulk in there. Then I'm going to finish stitching back stitch all the way around here. And you could use a hoop too. I may switch to a hoop in a minute. I forgot to do it, so. Once I get all the way around, I can split my first stitch just to stabilize the whole thing. And I'm going to take my thread to the back, but I'm not cutting it off. Now I need to make a little hole here in my black spot. So you could use a stiletto, you could use an awl. You can also use a small knitting needle, since I can't find either stiletto or an awl at the moment. So I just poked a hole right through that black dot in the middle of my back stitches. Now to stitch my eyelet, I'm going to bring my needle up through the hole that I made in the center and then take it to the back on the outside edge of my back stitches. I'm going to angle my needle in towards the center, and I'm going to pull that up tight. Then I'm going to come back in through that hole, and again take my needle to the back outside the edge of those back stitches, and I'm pulling it tight to open that hole up. So really I'm just whipping the edge all the way around, and I think it's going to be really hard for you to see this in the video. And it's just the same stitch all the way around, so I'm pulling it tight to make that hole in the center. So I'm going to continue around till I'm close to the edge off camera. When I get to all the way around to the edge, and this is kind of like a satin stitch too. I said a whip stitch, but we're going over the edge. We're just finishing the edge so it doesn't ravel. If you have some open spots that you missed, you could always go back and catch them. Once you're finished, we're going to keep the needle at the back. Don't cut it off yet. And we're just going to weave our thread into those overcast stitches on the back. Okay. Now, we're going to pop our charm or button shank in through there, and this is going to be a little tight, and I already did it on this one once, so it's open a little more, and you may have to work at it. There we go. So my shank is through to the back. I want to check the front and make sure that it's turned the way I want it. When I'm happy with how it is, then what I'm going to do is take my needle through the stitches from the eyelet on the back, and then through the shank, and then catch the stitches in the eyelet on the other side. And I'm going to do that 3 or 4 times. I want it to hold this in place. So I'm catching my stitches, going through, and I'm just securing that charm or button in place. And once you're satisfied that you've stitched through it enough, then you can just knot off through those stitches. So you can see that now the button sits flush with the edge of the project rather than sitting up on top of it.